The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Don't adjust your screen. There is nothing wrong. You're about to enter a world where the very concept of time is rendered obsolete by the sheer power of entertainment. You're about to enter the Boggis Hour. The host of the Boggis Hour, Greg Boggis.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Boggis Hour. I'm performing a Skype interview with a long friend, comedian, actor. You may have seen him on Gotham. He's been on David Letterman, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. We're on with him in a Skype interview all the way from California, and he's going to be in your TV room in just a moment. My guest is Chris Jonesy Jones.
Can you hear me good?
I can hear you pretty good. I think if we just slow down just a bit, because there's a bit of a delay, so I'll be able to hear you.
Oh, you mean a delay? Yeah, I understand.
So how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm enjoying the Los Angeles sunshine today. We've been very fortunate. The past week it's been very sunny. Overall, a somewhat chilly winter, relatively speaking, with more rain than we've had in a long time. But I hear it's good for the area, so fantastic. How was it back in Mass, my home state?
Yeah, it's been a pretty moderate winter. We've had only 2 or 3 snowstorms. The biggest one was probably 6 inches, so it's been pretty easy shoveling, easy on the back this year.
Oh, good. All right.
And then
nice to hear.
Yeah, one cold snap, where the batteries. But other than that, it's been pretty mellow. And you guys need the rain out in the West Coast, so
yes.
As long as it doesn't trigger landslides that then trigger wildfires and earthquakes, you'll be all set.
Yes, absolutely.
and the wildcat attacks. So.
Oh yes.
So anyhow, so we met doing stand-up comedy years ago in Boston. What year did you start?
It's 03.
Wow.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I ever asked you, or just the sands of time have washed away the private conversations we've had, but what did you do prior to getting into the entertainment business?
Oh, I did a number of things, most of them foolish. Such as go and get a sociology degree.
That actually,
almost as useless as a philosophy degree.
That comes in handy in showbiz.
It does. It does. I found it useful for stand-up comedy because it allows me to analyze human behavior, social behavior, which lately has been very ridiculous.
Yeah, you get to diagnose you should actually do put out the mortarboard there, diagnose comics between sets.
Oh yeah, sure.
$20
There's a
or
lot
something.
there. I was a bill collector for a couple of years as well, which was a scary time in my life. I played music.
Is that the Eye of Horus on your arm?
It is, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you noticed that? How did you see that? Did I raise my arm?
You did.
Oh,
little Egyptian history.
You have that on your ass, right?
That's right in the middle. So yeah,
I did things, played music, was a bill collector, sold drugs. I did what I could.
Just to get by.
Hey, it's all for the art.
So who was it who inspired you into doing stand-up?
I had a roommate in college named Steve Smith. He's not made up, I swear. He started going to open mics, and I went and watched them, and I saw how bad everybody was, and I said, I think I could at least do better than these guys. Well, maybe a couple of them.
Sure.
And it seemed very thrilling. I had already been on stage in bands, so I was already kind of comfortable on the mic, and I did sort of what I thought. I had funny ideas. I was told I was funny, as a lot of us are before we get on stage. But I had some things to say, and I had an opinion and a point of view, and I thought, well, let me just go and share that. I'll go when Steve goes and try it, and I did, and then I really did poorly, as you usually do your first time at something. Thank God they don't do brain surgery this way. I was really terrible, but it was a thrill. It was really got my heart racing, man. It was like doing drugs, like, and I said, oh, what a rush, and I want to try that again. And then it went on from there. I started doing open mics. I started going to bringer shows for Dick Doherty and Lisa Markham, the booker at the time,
right.
and she started letting me host shows. And I met you and Noxie and V, and then we're very supportive stand-up comedy community in Boston. A great place to start. I'm so fortunate. Everyone was encouraging and really cool and nice.
Yeah, it was. I don't know whether you get old and jaded or whatever, but it definitely seemed that there was a lot more of of a community as far as how you treated the new people coming in. I mean, there was some bit of hazing, but it was always like, hey, join the club.
Yes,
You're doing good, or you suck, but you could be good.
Yes, and bonding over late night cheap beer,
right
at the bar.
So when was it? When did you start with playing a guitar as your initial performances?
Yeah, well, I started to bring music into my act because the joke telling was going, it's okay. But I just remember one time bringing the guitar, and just it went so well. It just went so much better. So I would bring it almost on every show. I would do some joke with some funny music, and that was kind of my thing back then.
Right.
The first year and a half.
And that's also like a little step up. A lot of times, if you have that kind of an act, somebody will say, "All right, you can go on last."
Oh yeah, I was getting I was getting pushed up like that. I was getting paid work like that, and of course with the music, I could do more time because I would do a song. The song is 4 minutes. I had an arsenal of 10 songs that I could do, and so I could I wasn't really headlining, but I could on some level probably headline with all the music.
Right. So you started on Boston. Did you move to New York first?
I did.
And so what prompted the move? You just because you wanted to get more closer to where the entertainment business is?
Yeah, that's part of it. I think more so than that, I just wanted to get away from Massachusetts. I had gone through a breakup. I was bill collecting, and I didn't like my job. I didn't like that lifestyle.
Bill collecting's pretty heavy duty work.
It is brutal, man. It is just soul crushing.
Right.
Right.
And for both ends, right? You got to deal with the bosses that want you to meet numbers, and you got to deal with, you're dealing with people whose lives oftentimes are falling apart, and you've got to be putting the screws to them. It's depressing as hell.
Sure. I mean, the phone conversation that I would have at work as a bill collector, it goes one of two ways. Usually, it's either really sad and I want to cry, or they're screaming at me. They're just unloading all the pent up rage, and like you can be the target of that. Call at the wrong time.
Right.
And so
there's no in between.
There's very, very few in between. No one's ever like, oh, I'm so glad to hear from you, and I'm ready to pay.
I've got 3 grandkids. We're going on a vacation.
Yeah, so my life was kind of crappy. I was doing a lot of drinking with the comics, a lot of driving. My life was like in a place where I said, some change would be good. I knew some comics who had gone to New York. John Fish had moved to New York, and a few others. And knew that was a place to do stand-up. And I figured I would just make everything else work if I could. And so it was reasonable at the time. I'm glad I did it.
And so how long were you in New York for?
It was about 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
How many relationships?
The fleeting ones? One long one. And one like year relationship.
Nice.
And I got out of that at the right time. If I was with her, I would now be owning a home in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Really?
Which is brutal. Which is a brutal existence.
So what kind of, what do you draw most of your inspiration from for either your comedy or your music? What's your, are there any things that are your general focus?
I would say my general approach to creating material, it comes from an inner yearning to express something, and 99% of that comes from a grievance. My jokes are grievances. I think a lot of jokes are grievances when you really break them down. You may hear, Jerry Seinfeld complain about airplanes and everything small. We call that observational comedy, but it is a grievance. It's a complaint. So a lot of my material is that way, and it's a grievance that arises from my dissatisfaction with my body, with my position in life, my family, with things that I see in culture, such as social media, American ludicrous behavior, millennials, their ridiculous behavior, my friends who had children way too early, that ludicrous behavior. It comes from a lot of things. People who think that you shouldn't smoke pot for some reason because they're ludicrous, fundamental religious types who are really a barrier to human nature developing in the way that it should. Those ridiculous fools. So all of these, it's grievances that I have, and I try and spin some comedy on them and find some common groundwork on the mic among strangers. And luckily for me, oftentimes what seems to nag, me, other people also find to be a nag. I think nag is a bad word, but you get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, right, the theater emblem is the smile and the frown there. The
That's
smile
right.
and the sad face.
Completely, yeah.
And I just find that with a lot of, especially comics, that there's, like, in some regards, there's this great, like, joyful part of them that wants to, make other people laugh and smile and please other people. And then there's also a coincident sort of, oftentimes an internal sadness about them because, I don't know whether it's just a personal or cultural or whatever it is, but in some ways we try to balance out these imbalances by bringing other people's moods and feelings up.
I agree, and it's more than just entertainment for me. I feel like it's therapeutic for people. The Buddhists always say, the first principle is that life is suffering, and that's that can be a bleak way to look at life, but I think there's something there about that. I think we can all agree that there's just something bubbling along the surface that's a little shitty. And so to talk about this and sort of find common ground among all of us, I feel like it's a good release. It kind of keeps you sane. Say, other people see it this way as well. Other people, can, that life's kind of shitty. let's kind of laugh at that. That is shitty. Yeah, right. I agree. That
Right.
sucked when that happened to me. Oh God, I know some of that happened. Oh man, the Chinese have a saying, 8 times down, 9 times up. Such is life, and I believe that. I think
It's funny.
comedians point out those instances, the 8 times down.
I'd never heard that until today, and I just saw it like 3 hours earlier. So
Are you kidding me?
I'm kidding you not.
Wow, that's wild, man.
Yeah, it is interesting how there's all these interesting things that happen in life. The whole aspect of suffering. I mean, there's that movie I always go back to. Is Life is Beautiful, about the
Oh yes.
father with the kid in the concentration camp and all that.
Yep.
And it is, and part of me, I mean, I think that a lot of what entertainment comics do is literally giving people a break from things. Plenty of people have wonderful lives, but a lot of people don't have wonderful lives. And if they're allowed, an hour and a half of a show to just forget about, their child being sick, or their, parent being in a home, or, their pending operation or something like that, I think it's a good thing. I think it's an honorable thing to do. You know what I mean? Sometimes we tend to not feel good about our business because there is a lot of, I don't know, whorishness to it about, going places for, crappy amounts of money and working in front of, apathetic crowds and things like that. But there are times when you do it and then somebody comes up to you and says that you actually gave them a smile and a laugh, and they needed it because of what they're going through, and it does.
Oh man, and that's the best feeling. And there are very few jobs that people come up to you and do that. I mean, of course, when I was a bill collector, I never got that. I think in a lot of our jobs, you never get that.
Right.
You never get someone to come up to you. You really made my day. You really made my night. Thank you. We're all so happy because of you being here.
Right.
I don't even get that from my family. I'm kidding. I do. It's good.
I'll send them the tape. So you moved out to California, and what have you been doing out there?
Oh well.
Could you just give me just a little bit of
Sure.
your history and all that, so that we can also share.
I've been
sharing your success.
Very modest stuff. I've done some TV stuff, a lot of commercials and voiceovers out here. I'm trying to, because I worked a lot in New York, I'm trying to parlay that into a career division out in LA, and slowly gaining traction. Took me a while to get going in New York. It's probably going to take me just as long going here.
Sure.
Meanwhile, doing stand-up a few nights a week, working some gigs, survival gigs to get through, writing, and taking acting gigs when I get them, and just trying to figure out the city and where's my place. I think it's a good place for me. It's a good time to come here. There's a lot of television being made right now. I read something that's like over 400 scripted shows right now.
Wow.
Because of the explosion of online content. I mean, it's happening. It's happening. So it's a good
Right.
time to be an actor, and I thought I'd come out here with a resume, some experience, and see if I could just kind of slap that shit over here in LA and work.
Nice. Yeah, and it's a great area too. There's deserts, mountains, ocean. There's all kinds of stuff for just the natural enjoyment, And then people too.
Yeah.
I love, people hate people, especially if you're a comic. A lot of times they tend to spend a lot of time, picking the hell out of people.
And alone.
But I love people. I love people watching,
Yes.
and I love varieties of people. And I know my time out visiting in LA, it was just fun to see the different, just how different it is than around the Northeast. The Northeast is just a lot more closed in, and a lot and smaller and hillier and things like that, as opposed to out there where it's sunnier and drier and brighter.
I think there's a mentality. I've spoken about this before. I kind of made it up. I don't know if it's legitimate, but it sounds legitimate to me. But you have like indoor culture and outdoor culture, and they're two different mentalities. The outdoor people also friendlier from the get-go, more open, more huggy.
Right.
we're sharing from on the outside.
Right.
I think inside we're all the same.
Have some of my gorp.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And the indoor culture, which is I come from, and I'm still that way. I'm a little suspicious. I'm a little to myself a little bit like a little not. I know I seem right now like this guy's really like social and stuff, and I kind of am, but I'm like you though. I'm a kind of a. I mean, comics are loners a lot of times. I spend a lot of time alone, and I like to observe the human behavior,
Right.
and people watch, as you say, and kind of judge from afar.
Yeah, it is good stuff. So before we go, is there anything that you're currently working on or have recently worked on that you'd like to maybe steer us to checking out?
Well, I always sort of like to promote my Instagram, which is Funny Jones. I'm always putting videos on there, putting content on there, and letting people know what I'm doing. I recently had a show on the Dish Network called The Edge with Jonesy, and I would have guests on. We would talk about paranormal.
Oh,
and I would make fun of them because they're crazy. And then
I'm with you. I mean, I love that stuff, and I have guests on. I've had authors on and stuff like that, and I love it. And they're always wonderful people. But I'm always like, I've got to see more than what looks like a piece of lint on a fixed camera in a room. You know,
Yes.
And then somebody screaming about the piece of lint.
I agree. Greg, I'm so like that. I want to believe, but I'm open to the possibility. Hey, look, the universe would be way cooler if there were alien races on the moon. Wouldn't it be? I want that to be.
Indeed.
But I look at the evidence and, I'm not convinced.
They never sell me on it.
I'm open to it, but I'm never sold on it. So I had that show on the Dish Network. We only did one season, and then we lost funding, and all the shows that channel gone. So I'm looking for a new home for that show, and so I would say to keep your eyes open for that. That's something so near and dear to me. I produced it, I wrote it, I got my own guests, I hosted it. I love that, and I'm gonna do it again at some point.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Cool.
look out for that and follow me on Instagram.
Follow you on Instagram. So I think we're probably about out of time. So it was a real pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, on screen here. And are you coming back Northeast anytime?
Yes, I'll be back this summer for an entire month.
Oh, cool.
I'll be in New York for the whole month, but while there, I will make a trip to Massachusetts for sure.
Well, let's get together.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Please.
All right.
Maybe I could come directly in the studio and watch you interview one of these paranormal crazy people.
Okay, well, it sounds like a plan. Maybe we can we can co-produce a show. How about that?
I would love that.
All right, cool. We'll work on that. So Chris Jonesy Jones, good friend, and you can find him on Instagram, and I think we'll run that below the screen so we can see it. Hanging out with George Carlin out in California.
Hanging out with George.
So thanks for coming on the show, Jonesy.
Thank you, buddy.
Peace. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on The Boggis Hour, email us here at theboggushour@gmail.com.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.